Most people believe global oil prices are determined by complex charts and Wall Street traders. But right now, the most expensive parking lot in the world isn't in Manhattan or London. It is on the dark blue waters off the coast of Venezuela. Imagine 17.5 million barrels of crude oil, just sitting there, frozen. This is not a technical glitch or a strike. It is a steel chain cast over the ocean by the Trump administration. As of December 16, 2025, the U.S. has declared a total maritime blockade $900 million. To put that in perspective, if you were to spend $1 million every single day, it would take you more than 3,200 years to go through that much cash. Now, that staggering amount of wealth is simply evaporating under the Caribbean sun. The U.S. Coast Guard is no longer just watching. They are boarding. They are seizing. The skipper, the Century's massive tankers are being towed away to Texas like illegally parked cars. But here is the strange part. In the middle of this high-stakes hunt, a few specific ships are sailing through the blockade completely untouched. The Sea Ruby and the Canopus Voyager. While others are being chased by warships, these ships are calmly unloading their cargo at American ports. Why are the rules different for them? And why is a single decision in Washington causing the lights to go out in Havana and factories to shutter in Beijing? Most people see this as a simple sanction. But if you look closer, this is a surgical operation to redraw the map of global power. If you don't understand the hidden logic behind who gets caught and who sails free, you are missing the real story of the 2025 energy war. The ocean off Venezuela has become a graveyard of dead engines. According to Tanker Tracker's data, the sheer volume of oil trapped at sea has reached 17.5 million barrels. 17.5 million barrels. This is a volume so vast that if you lined up every barrel end to end, they would stretch from New York to London and back again. It is enough oil to keep every car in the United Kingdom running for nearly 2 weeks. And yet, not a single drop is moving. Why is this happening now? The Trump administration has officially designated the Maduro government as a foreign terrorist organization. This isn't just a label. It is a legal kill switch for their economy. By defining the government this way, the U.S. military now treats these oil tankers not as commercial vessels, but as assets of a criminal enterprise. The enforcement is brutal and physical. Take the case of the skipper. It was intercepted by the U.S. Coast Guard and forced to change course toward the United States. Then there was the Bella 1. It tried to run. A high-speed pursuit broke out on the open sea, ending only when U.S. forces made it clear that escape was impossible. Every time a ship is seized, the risk premium skyrockets. Imagine you are an oil buyer. Would you buy a product if there was a 50% chance the police would seize your delivery truck on the highway? You wouldn't. Or you would demand a massive discount. The few buyers left are now asking for prices so low that Venezuela actually loses money just by pumping the oil out of the ground. But then we see the Chevron exception. While the world watches tankers being seized, Chevron's ships are moving as if the blockade doesn't exist. Why the U.S. government issued a special license? It seems like a contradiction, but it is a cold, calculated move. The U.S. wants to bankrupt Maduro, but it doesn't want to starve its own refineries in the Gulf Coast. These refineries are designed specifically to process heavy crude, the thick, syrupy oil that Venezuela produces. If that supply vanishes completely, gasoline prices at American pumps might spike right before an election. So the U.S. created a barter loophole. Chevron can take the oil, but they are strictly forbidden from giving Maduro a single cent of cash. Instead, the oil is used to pay off old debts and taxes. Maduro gets his debt reduced, but his pockets stay empty. He has the oil, but he has no liquidity. The ripple effects of this steel chain are hitting like a tsunami elsewhere. The first victim is Cuba. For decades, Cuba has survived on a blood transfusion of Venezuelan oil. Without it, the island goes dark. 30,000 barrels a day. That is the lifeblood Cuba needs to keep its power plants running. Because of the blockade, that supply has vanished. The result? Blackouts that last 18 hours a day. 18 hours. That is the equivalent of the sun going down at 6 p.m. and your lights not coming back on until noon the next day. Food is rotting in refrigerators. Factories are silent. In a desperate move, Cuba has even legalized U.S. dollar transactions just to keep their economy from a total heart attack. Then there is the China factor. China has been the biggest customer for the shadow fleet, the secret tankers that smuggle Venezuelan oil. Nearly 80% of Venezuela's exports used to end up in Chinese refineries. Now those refineries are looking at empty docks. This creates a massive supply chain fever. When one of the world's largest oil taps is suddenly turned off, everyone starts fighting for what's left. The price of oil from Canada and Mexico, the other main producers of heavy crude, is beginning to soar. For a Chinese factory owner, this means the cost of plastic, fuel, and transport is rising every single day. The butterfly effect is real. A decision made in a wood-paneled office in Washington is currently deciding whether a family in Havana can cook dinner or whether a refinery in Shanghai stays profitable. The world is watching the U.S., Navy, and Coast Guard. They are no longer just patrolling. They are enforcing a new world order where access is the ultimate weapon. The blockade isn't just about stopping oil. It's about proving that in 2025, the global market only exists if the person holding the keys to the ocean allows it. The real question isn't whether Maduro will survive. The question is who is next. If the steel chain can be dropped on the Caribbean so easily, where else could it fall? As the 17.5 million barrels sit rotting in the sun, the rest of the world is realizing that the old rules of trade have been rewritten overnight. The era of free flow is over. The era of the ocean lockdown has begun. Understanding the world is not about memorizing headlines, but about seeing how money, power, history, and technology move together. At Money Behind Power, we focus on connecting those forces. If today's story helped connect the dots, a like is appreciated. Thank you for spending your time here.